for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. All the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress. At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding. There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking for hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
Amiga, niña. Ay, no seas imbécil.
The source states that this black portal, or hole in the clouds, appeared within a matter of seconds, which is initially what caught his eye and made him do a double take at the clouds as he left his office of employment for lunch at around 1 p.m. noon in El Paso. He said that it began to get very windy out, and he noticed a small portion of clouds begin to swirl and circle in on one another, forming this portal shape, at which point the center of the clouds became jet black. Now this is when the source decided to hurry up and pull out his phone for a picture, and at this point, the source had not seen any UFOs, and had simply wanted to image these anomalous cloud formations, but just to mystify all those who might be gazing up from below from the events that are transpiring. Walter was able to snap about 7 more images in attempts to catch the object on its exit from one cloud to another, out of which he successfully caught 2 more images of the actual object being visible, or partially visible, just as it starts to come out of a break in the clouds, which you can see in this second image here. Now, I am personally at a loss for words when it comes to this UFO sighting, because this thing is mind-blowing, and not only do we not know what it is it a craft? Is it an entity from another dimension? Is it a probe sent here by a higher intelligence in another galaxy? Questions like these that come up from amazing UFO sightings caught on camera like this are why we do what we do. But not only do we have these 3-dimensional cubes in these images, that, by the way, after some analysis, has what look to be intricate designs spanning its entire surface, but also the fact that in this sighting, and not hardly found in many others, is UFO arrived by jumping through a suddenly appearing black hole in the sky, leads us to believe that this isn't man-made. Sorry guys, I know a few of you refuse to believe that any UFO isn't man-made, but I think we can safely rule out some army grunt punched behind the wheel of this thing. No, this thing looks far beyond our understanding. The third image that was taken, which you can see now, that is by far the best of the three images probably, because it captures this craft in its entirety. For the few brief moments that it came out of the cloud and was freely moving quietly through the air as our source watched in disbelief, before finally disappearing back into the clouds, never to be seen again. Well, not by this source at least, but do stay tuned because we have a second source who is about a mile down the road who also captured an image of this thing as it came towards her, and immediately went off, as you can imagine, and we knew that this was the same craft, now corroborated by two independent sources. The woman states that she was returning to an office complex where she works as an accountant for a local business, and as she got out of her vehicle, she noticed a square-shaped figure moving through the clouds, and at first glance, she thought it was a balloon. As the dark object continued moving through the clouds, the detailing of the craft became much more visible, and in her own words, it became evident that whatever this thing was, it was not a small balloon, but a giant, solid thing. With designs around it and a faint magnetic oscillation type humming that seems to emulate from the craft as it came into view, according to this source, and then became faint as it headed back into the clouds and out of sight. Now this source here was able to snap one image, which she was lucky enough to get in the first place because this thing was moving through the clouds, it wasn't stopping, and she pulled out her phone and was able to snap a picture just in time as this craft was heading back into the clouds. And we have analyzed all of these images and brought out the detail of this extraordinary UFO for you guys to see here. This is not the first time that these giant, square, UFO-type ships have been seen, and in fact, these craft, wherever they come from, many of them will cloak themselves among the clouds, or as clouds themselves. If you were an alien species, and you wanted to surveil the surface of Earth, what would be one of the easiest places to hide your giant vehicles right in plain sight? The clouds. Another advantage of using the clouds for cover for these types of unknown craft is basically the fact that no one would believe you if you ran up and told them what you saw, because you'd simply be laughed at and pegged as someone who just saw an odd shape in the clouds and it was all in their head. But thankfully, we live in the age of technology and can have images and footage like this that our sources can hold high and can let the evidence speak for itself. This is a black, sharp-edged, three-dimensional cube-shaped craft with
How are you? Get out. It's essentially green.
There have been many sightings posted across the internet showing the different encounters with this being. As encounters get closer, it doesn't stop. Stories show that once the Slender Man gets close, it's not long before its victim finally disappears and is never seen again.
This is it.
The actual shed.
Yeah.
Slender Man.
Oh my god. Right, you go take guard while I get some pictures.
Alright, man.
And I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but in the distance, I can hear that faint wailing. That's the same noise I heard last time when I came back here and saw it. I can hear the freeway in the distance too. I hope that that's not taking the noise off. It was down here actually. I originally oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Holy fuck. I gotta go. Holy shit. Oh.